For years, the people of Millville had avoided the place they called the asylum, nestled on the outskirts of town. It was a relic of a darker time, a massive, imposing structure that had once housed the mentally ill. Now, it stood abandoned, a decaying monument to a past that everyone wanted to forget. But some memories refused to fade, and the asylum held secrets that would terrify anyone who dared to enter. In the heart of autumn, when the leaves turned crimson and the air grew crisp, a group of teenagers decided to test their courage. Among them was Sarah, a fearless young woman known for her stubbornness. She had heard the tales of the asylum since she was a child, stories whispered around campfires and shared in hushed tones during late-night sleepovers. She couldn't resist the allure of the forbidden. One chilly evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the asylum, Sarah and her friends gathered at its rusted gates. Moonlight filtered through the gnarled branches of ancient trees that surrounded the asylum, giving the place an eerie, otherworldly glow. "I can't believe we're doing this," Jake, one of Sarah's friends, mumbled nervously. "Come on, guys," Sarah replied, her voice a mix of excitement and bravado. "It's just an old building. What's the worst that could happen?" The heavy gates groaned as they swung open, and the group ventured into the asylum's overgrown courtyard. The air was thick with silence, broken only by the distant hoot of an owl. As they approached the main entrance, Sarah couldn't help but feel a knot of unease tightening in her stomach. The front doors, once grand and imposing, were now cracked and splintered, hanging slightly ajar. It was as though the asylum had been waiting for their arrival, beckoning them inside. Sarah led the way, her footsteps echoing through the cavernous entrance hall. Dust motes danced in the dim light that filtered through shattered windows. The interior was a maze of crumbling hallways, peeling wallpaper, and faded linoleum floors. The air was musty, and the scent of decay hung in the stale, damp atmosphere. Sarah's flashlight beam swept across walls adorned with old patient records, their contents faded and illegible. As they explored deeper into the asylum, strange things began to happen. Footsteps echoed in empty corridors, even though they were certain they were alone. Whispering voices seemed to murmur just out of earshot, and shadows moved in the corners of their vision. "I don't like this," whispered Emily, her voice quivering. Sarah scoffed, trying to hide her own unease. "It's just our imagination playing tricks on us. This place is falling apart." But deep down, Sarah knew that something was off. The sense of being watched never left her, and the feeling of dread intensified with every step they took. It was as if the asylum itself was alive, a malevolent force that wanted to keep its secrets hidden. They came to a locked door, its heavy metal surface covered in rust. Sarah tugged at the handle, but it wouldn't budge. Frustration and fear gnawed at her. "We have to find another way in," she said. As they retraced their steps, they heard a faint, distant sound, a child's laughter. It echoed through the empty hallways, sending shivers down their spines. Sarah's heart raced as she followed the eerie laughter, her friends close behind. They arrived at a small room, its door ajar. Inside, they found a child's bedroom frozen in time. Faded teddy bears sat on a tattered rug, and crane drawings adorned the peeling walls. But the most unsettling sight was the rocking chair in the corner. It moved back and forth, as if pushed by invisible hands. No one dared to speak as they watched the chair's slow, rhythmic motion. The air grew colder, and the feeling of being watched intensified. It was then that Sarah noticed a photograph on the nightstand, a picture of a young girl with sad, hollow eyes. She held the photograph up to her flashlight, and her heart froze. "I've seen her in my dreams," Sarah whispered. "The girl in the photograph. She's the reason we're here." As they left the room, the laughter faded, replaced by an oppressive silence. The asylum seemed to tighten its grip on them, its dark history weighing on their shoulders. They pressed on, determined to uncover the truth. Hours passed, and the group became hopelessly lost in the labyrinthine corridors. They stumbled upon a series of cells, their doors rusted shut, desperate to escape. They tried to pry one open. As they did, they caught a glimpse of the room's inhabitant, a haggard figure with wild eyes and matted hair, reaching out with skeletal hands. With a collective gasp, they backed away, their hearts pounding. The asylum's secrets were becoming more sinister with each passing moment, and escape seemed impossible. As dawn approached, they finally found a stairwell leading to the basement. The air grew even colder as they descended into the darkness. In the bowels of the asylum, they discovered a hidden chamber filled with ancient medical equipment, restraints, shock therapy devices, and jars containing unidentifiable substances. The realization struck them like a blow. The asylum had been a place of unspeakable cruelty, where patients had suffered unimaginable horrors. The tortured souls of the past had left an indelible mark on the building, and their anguish lingered in the shadows. Terrified and exhausted, the group made their way back to the entrance. As they stepped out into the pale light of dawn, the asylum seemed to exhale a sigh of relief, releasing its hold on them. They hurried away, leaving behind the malevolent building and its haunting secrets. In the days that followed, they could not forget the horrors they had witnessed. The asylum's dark history continued to haunt their dreams, a chilling reminder of the evil that had once resided within its walls. The truth had been far more terrifying than any ghost story, and they were left with scars that would never heal. The Abandoned Asylum became a cautionary tale in Millville, a warning to those who were tempted to explore its decaying corridors. For within its walls, the past and the present converged in a nightmare of unimaginable horror, a place where the line between the living and the dead blurred, and the sins of the past could never be forgotten.